In the sprawling symphony of American music, few figures have orchestrated a legacy as rich and complex as Brian Wilson. The mastermind behind the Beach Boys, Wilson wasn't merely writing songs. He was painting emotional landscapes with harmony, crafting sonic worlds that transcended pop conventions. His path from a small-town California upbringing to the halls of musical immortality is a story of vision, vulnerability, collapse, and revival. And through it all, Wilson remained devoted to one truth: the transformative power of music. Brian Douglas Wilson entered the world on June 20th, 1942, in Inglewood, California, the eldest of three boys born to Murray and Audrey Wilson. The family eventually settled in Hawthorne, a sun-drenched suburb of Los Angeles, where Brian's early life unfolded in a household of contradictions. His father, Murray, a frustrated songwriter with a volatile temper, recognized Brian's musical gifts early on and pushed him relentlessly, sometimes harshly, toward excellence. By the age of 6, Brian was already picking out harmonies on the family piano, and by high school, he was studying vocal arrangements and channeling the lush harmonies of groups like the Four Freshmen. Tragedy struck early in the form of a baseball accident that left him deaf in his right ear. But rather than limit his musicality, the loss heightened his sensitivity to texture and balance, shaping his distinctive sound. Brian, along with younger brothers Dennis and Carl, cousin Mike Love, and high school friend Al Jardine, would form the original lineup of the Beach Boys in 1961. What began as a backyard hobby quickly transformed into a national phenomenon. Their debut single, Surfin', captured Southern California's beach culture and launched a wave of chart-topping hits. By the mid-1960s, the Beach Boys were America's premier pop group, their harmonies and surfboard mythos creating an idyllic portrait of the West Coast. Songs like Surfin' Safari, Fun, 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 and California Girls turned Wilson into a musical wunderkind. But Brian's creative ambitions were quickly outgrowing the genre's sunny simplicity. In 1964, he quit touring to focus solely on writing and producing. What followed would shift the pop music landscape. The turning point came in 1966 with the release of Pet Sounds. Inspired by the Beatles' Rubber Soul, Wilson set out to create an album that was not just a collection of songs, but an emotional journey. The result was a deeply personal work of art, packed with orchestral arrangements, intricate harmonies, and lyrical introspection. Tracks like God Only Knows and Wouldn't It Be Nice revealed a more tender, melancholic side of the American dream. Though not a massive commercial hit at the time, Pet Sounds would go on to be hailed as one of the greatest albums ever made, influencing everyone from Paul McCartney to Thom Yorke. At the height of his creative powers, Wilson began conceptualizing an even more ambitious follow-up, Smile. Conceived as a teenage symphony to God, Smile was avant-garde, fragmented, and emotionally raw. But pressure from his bandmates, mental health struggles, and a growing dependence on psychedelic drugs caused the project to collapse. Only fragments were released, though one single, Good Vibrations, became a psychedelic anthem and a chart-topping success. The collapse of Smile marked the beginning of a long and painful descent. Wilson's mental health deteriorated as he grappled with what would later be diagnosed as schizoaffective disorder. He became increasingly reclusive, plagued by paranoia, anxiety, and delusions. Throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, his presence in the Beach Boys dwindled. Though occasional flashes of genius emerged, such as 1977's Love You, a stripped-down, synth-laden record reflecting Wilson's quirky brilliance, his erratic behavior and substance abuse kept him largely out of the spotlight. Perhaps the most controversial chapter of Wilson's life unfolded under the care of psychologist Eugene Landy. Hired in the late 1970s to rehabilitate Wilson, Landy eventually gained full control of his career, finances, and personal life, enacting a controversial and overbearing treatment regimen. While Landy's methods initially helped stabilize Wilson, they quickly turned into a form of domination, isolating him from friends and family. It wasn't until 1991, after legal intervention by Wilson's family, that Landy was permanently removed. The early 1990s saw the beginning of Wilson's slow but triumphant return to form. Freed from Landy's grip, he began reclaiming his autonomy and revisiting his lost masterpieces. In the 2000s, With the help of collaborators and a devoted fan base, Wilson achieved the unthinkable. He completed Smile. Released as Brian Wilson Presents Smile in 2004, the album was a triumph. Critics hailed it as a redemption story, and it earned Wilson his first Grammy Award. From there, a renaissance took shape. Wilson embarked on multiple solo tours, performing Pet Sounds in its entirety to sold-out audiences around the globe. Albums like That Lucky Old Son and No Peer Pressure showcased a reinvigorated Wilson, still fragile, but full of creative fire. His 2015 biopic Love and Mercy, starring Paul Dano and John Cusack, offered a deeply moving portrait of his life, garnering critical acclaim and introducing a new generation to his music. Beyond the accolades and albums, Wilson's cultural footprint is immense. Over 500 artists have covered his work, and his pioneering production techniques have been dissected in countless music schools. His influence can be heard in everything from the orchestral pop of Fleet Foxes to the experimental leanings of Animal Collective. Wilson's commitment to emotion-driven music inspired artists to blend vulnerability with ambition. Even as his career flourished anew, Wilson remained deeply grounded in family life. He married Melinda Ledbetter in 1995, a former car saleswoman who became a central pillar of support and helped rescue him from Landy's control. Together, they adopted 5 children and created a stable, loving home. Wilson's later years were marked by this familial closeness, along with quieter joys like attending Dodgers games and indulging in his favorite treat, In-N-Out burgers. Financially, Wilson remained secure thanks to a lucrative 2021 deal that sold his catalog to Universal Music Group for a reported $50 million. His estimated net worth stands around $100 million, bolstered by royalties, tour income, and merchandising. Despite health issues, including a neurocognitive diagnosis in 2024 that led to a court-appointed conservatorship, Wilson continued to perform selectively. His appearance at the 2025 Beach Boys tribute concert, Endless Summer, was a moving moment, drawing thousands of fans and fellow musicians in celebration of his legacy. Today, Wilson's impact is incalculable. His catalog spans over 1,200 credited compositions. He has received nearly every major music honor: induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 1988, a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, 2001, and Kennedy Center honors. But perhaps his most enduring legacy lies in the emotional resonance of his work. In songs like Don't Worry Baby, In My Room, and Surf's Up, Wilson captured the human condition, its longing, fragility, and fleeting joy. At 82, Wilson is no longer the energetic young man who once ruled the charts, but his voice still carries profound weight. He remains a living testament to the power of resilience and the idea that beauty can emerge from brokenness. His music, filled with sunshine, shadow, complexity, and grace, continues to inspire. "I just want people to feel something," Wilson said in a 2023 interview with NPR. That simple mission, repeated over a lifetime, became his gift to the world. That's the story of Brian Wilson. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.